Cool. So I want to talk about how to write a Git commit message. Now, if you're watching this, I'm assuming that you already know how to use Git, you know what a Git commit message is, and you're interested in writing better commits, especially as a non-native speaker. I don't know if this is something that is talked about as much. At least for me, I'm self-taught. I learned how to code through Free Code Camp, and it wasn't something that I learned early on. It was later in my career. I heard about it a couple of times, and most of the projects that I worked on were closed source, so only my coworkers are reading them. So I was like, well, what's the point? And it wasn't until a senior engineer basically said to me, hey, this is something that you should care about. This is your craft. The people who maintain this code after us are going to have to rely on the Git commits because it's part of the documentation to maintain this code base. So you better write good Git commit messages. And so this is the article that I recommend everybody read. It's got 7 rules, and we're just going to kind of go through them and talk about them. So we've already talked about why this is important. It's part of your craft, right? We're engineers, we're craftspeople, and yeah, we want to keep things tidy. We want to keep things clean. It'll help, us when we're debugging things in the past or in the future, and it'll help engineers who come after us. So, these 7 rules of a great Git commit message. So let's go through them one by one. Separate subject from body with a blank line. So for me, this is pretty funny because I didn't know that you could do this. I thought just writing a short message, right, the 50 characters was it. I didn't know there was a body. But sometimes it's helpful to add that context. And so what I like to do is in my editor, I'll usually type git commit. It'll pull up Vim, and I'll write the subject line here at the top, a line break, and then I'll add the body. And I want to take a look actually at a real example. This is my previous coworker, Asher, who is somebody who I admire a lot because he writes really, really good commit messages. And so here's an example. This is from 3 weeks ago, actually. So here he's got the subject, fix extension install test. So it doesn't tell you a whole lot, doesn't really tell you the why. So let's read it. This is not a valid ID. To install a specific version, you use @ and quite strangely, code is now returning an extension not found error if the ID is invalid, breaking the test since we expect it to error about the marketplace not existing. Right? And so here's the code change, the diff. So very great. Somebody who I worked with for over 2 years. And working with somebody at that level who cares about their craft that much, it inspires you to care. And so for me, that was a time where I grew a lot as an engineer. Okay, so the next one, limit the subject line. Oh, that's interesting. You can't see, but limit the subject line to 50 characters. So this is actually something, if you're in VS Code and you, let me see if I can open it real quick. I don't even know. There we go. So here we'll go inside VS Code so you can kind of see. This is actually built in. I was connected to a remote machine. Okay. Okay, so we're not going to be able to see it. That's okay. What we can do, actually real quick, is I'm just going to pull up a code space. So let's go to, gosh, I don't know. How about this one? Code spaces. Let's just create this real quick. So we'll run that up in the background and I'll show you. Okay, cool. So it's actually pretty fast. So here on the source control side, once the files load, we'll make just a fake change here in, how about the README? So we'll come in here and we'll say hello world. We'll save that. We'll go to the source control. I'll add the file, so I'll stage it. And then I'll just start typing. So you see there, see that? So this is built in, right? This is pretty standard across the industry of, hey, it should be 50 characters or less. Not a hard rule, but we have tools in place that will encourage this, right? Like VS Code. Cool. Capitalize the subject line. I like lowercase for some reason. I don't know why, so I tend to skip this rule. But, I would say across the industry, it's pretty standard. So, again, I have another example. This is from Next.js. The title goes over 50 characters. That's okay. GitHub actually cuts it off too. So they use an ellipses. We can't see it. But here you've got the body. Number 4, do not end the subject line with a period. Interesting. Okay, so this is one that I think I forget. I just tend not to do it, or to do it by accident. But yeah, you don't want to end it with a period. This is one that I was talking to a couple of you about in another video in the comments. The imperative mood, right? So this just means spoken or written as if giving a command. So, right, in Spanish, right? Limpia tu cuarto, clean your room. Cerra la puerta, shut the door, close the door, take out the trash, right? So, to me, I also, when I was looking at this, I think of the infinitive, right? To clean but you drop the to. Imperative mood, use whatever is going to help you remember it. But yeah, a lot of people, I think beginners who don't know this, not beginners, but just people who don't know this, tend to use the past tense, like I fixed the bug, right? But instead, like fix the UI or fix the bug. So that's what we mean by imperative here. Let's keep going. 6, wrap the body at 72. So this is something you actually have to configure in your editor. For any Vim people out there, I think I wrote a blog post about this. Yeah. So, I'll put this in the video description. But yeah, you should be wrapping at 72 characters. And so, again, you can see both of these messages that I showed, like this wraps. Otherwise, it would keep going to the right. I'm not going to be able to point to my screen, but kind of over here. And then 7, use the body to explain what and why versus how. So here they have an example. This is a commit from Bitcoin Core explaining what changed. Remove the state and accept mask from serializes hstream. As accept mask always included this, was always called blah, blah, blah. It was immediately raised an exception. Get rid of those variables. As a result, good is never reached after a failure. Right? So they explain the why. Here, and then again here, this fixes an issue. So there's more information there. The root cause is fixed in upstream React, and here's a test to ensure it works end to end. Right? So we're adding a test. We're making sure that this fix, even though it's upstream, we need to make sure that it is fixed in next and that it doesn't break again. Hence why they're adding a test. And again, the why here, breaking the test since we expect it to error. So yeah, that's it. That's a summary of how to write a Git commit message, how to write a great one, and something that you should be doing to get better as a programmer and to practice your English. So hope you enjoyed that one. We'll see you in the next one.